Alright, welcome back to another episode of Dave Makes Food. Today's a very special day because I've finally taken the time to measure all the ingredients while making hot and sour soup, which is obviously the best soup in the entire world. This recipe is going to make 2 liters of soup, which is approximately 8 servings. Now let's quickly go over the ingredients we'll be adding. The first thing we'll need are dried lily flowers. They come in a package that looks like this. These are relatively easy to find in a Chinese grocery store and are very cheap. This package was about $4. They add a floral fragrance and a slight sweetness to the soup, and if you can't find these, I'll recommend substituting with bell peppers. We will need 15 grams of them. Next we'll need dried shiitake mushrooms. We're going to need 15 grams of them as well. They add a complex mushroom flavor and aroma. Next will be fresh ginger. We'll need 20 grams of your finest julienne cut. Do the same with 25 grams of carrot and 30 grams of extra firm tofu. The final dry ingredient will be wood ear mushrooms. They come dried in a package that might look like this. They're also relatively cheap. I'd never seen anything like this before I bought them, but they are extremely compressed into a brick. They don't really offer anything in terms of flavor, but they have an amazing crunchy texture that's very unusual for a vegetable. It's very similar to cartilage. Rehydrate them in hot water. It will only take about 5 minutes for them to fully expand. Give them a julienne as well. We'll need 30 grams of rehydrated wood ear mushroom. They're also called black fungus if you're searching for them. After you've prepared all the dry ingredients, we can move on to the next step. Add 2 liters of chicken stock to a soup pot. This can also be replaced with literally any other stock. I've made hot and sour soup with turkey, chicken, pork, beef, tomato, and mushroom stocks, and they've all turned out great. They turn out even better if you add some of the stock ingredient to the soup, but today I'm just using a basic chicken stock. To the 2 liters of stock, we're going to add in our dried lily flowers and shiitake. These ingredients both produce a good amount of flavor to the liquid they're rehydrated in, so we're just going to do it in the soup pot. Next we'll add in our seasoning, starting with soy sauce. Add 60 milliliters or 4 tablespoons. I'm using Yamasa brand, but any Chinese soy sauce is fine. Don't use anything too premium. And look at this fancy graduated cylinder I'm using to measure. I hope at least one person enjoys this recipe. Next we're going to need 65 milliliters of black vinegar, and this is kind of awkward because I've always just bought the yellow bottle of Chinkiang vinegar that everyone uses. This is the first time I bought this TNT brand, but it was 2 for 1, so I couldn't say no. But a quick Google search shows that they're actually synonyms, so I learned something new today. I literally never would have guessed those 2 words were pronounced the same. Next we'll need 50 milliliters of rice cooking wine. I don't really find a difference brand to brand. As you can see, this is a $3.99 bottle, so again, not very expensive. As long as it says Shaoxing rice cooking wine, you should be good to go. Lastly, for seasoning, we'll need some white pepper. Add 1 teaspoon. If you want to make this soup extra hot, add in some chili flakes here as well. Boil all this together on medium-high heat for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we're going to remove the shiitake so we can julienne them. This is also the time we'll add in our wood ear mushroom, carrots, and extra firm tofu. Whenever you finish julienning your shiitake, add them in as well. Boil for another 15 minutes. While that's going, prepare your slurry with 2 large tablespoons of cornstarch. Dissolve it in approximately the same volume of cold water. Pour the slurry in slowly while stirring the soup to prevent any lumps while being able to judge the thickness since this activates on contact. Reduce the heat and combine 1 egg with 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, as well as salt and pepper. Beat the egg and we're going to slowly stream it into the soup. The heat should be on minimum and the soup should not be boiling rapidly. Pour it in a very thin stream while circling it around the pot. Leave the egg alone to cook for a couple of minutes. If you stir it now, it will become cloudy and ruin the broth.
A few moments later.
Now we can mix it around. Once the egg is cooked, you can stir it without making the broth cloudy. It will just disperse into smaller pieces throughout the soup. just like this. Give it a taste test for seasoning and adjust to your own preferences if necessary. Another quick note I will say is that if you taste it before adding the egg, the flavors will be very sharp. The soup really comes together after the addition of the egg plus the stirring. Garnish with a few drops of sesame oil and some nice bias cut green onions. And that's how you make my hot and sour soup. This is my absolute favorite soup in the entire world, and I hope I've produced an acceptable recipe that everyone can replicate. I also hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please click like and consider subscribing to my channel. It would really help me out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another recipe.